I'm sure I'm not the only one that has felt this tug in their heart, and eternity has never felt so forefront in my mind. And I think it's just a sobering reality that a lot of us have had to witness the last week and a half or so. And we just have and want nothing to do more than share the gospel. We want nothing more than chase after the souls of the lost. And it has been such a wrestle for me recently, because I'm like tethering that line of like, I want and I love the I guess the urgency of eternity that I feel, but at the same time I want to be a good steward of my time here on earth, and I don't want to be so heavenly focused that I'm no earthly good, which I'm sure you guys have heard that quote before, because there is work to be done here on earth. There are more souls that need to be found and more people that need to find Christ. And so I've been praying a lot, like, Lord, how do I go about this? And the biggest thing that he keeps reminding me is to be faithful and steward what is in front of me. And one of those blessings and glorious things directly in front of me are my children and my relationship with my husband and my home. And so the Lord's been like, steward and faithfully serve your family, diligently teach your children, and diligently feed them and care for your home, and do that work unto me and do it joyfully. And so I'm going to kind of do a mixture of things in today's video. I'm going to show you kind of like what I have been feeding my family, but also some things that I have changed in our home since welcoming our 5th baby. And I think these are some really practical things, because oftentimes I think, especially when I was a mother of just one, I would look at these mothers with 7 children and I'm like, I just don't understand. Like, I genuinely do not understand how that is possible. And as our family has grown, I have learned how it's possible, and it is possible with Christ. And gleaning into his wisdom and asking and praying to him specifically for wisdom in these areas, but then also asking our husbands. So I guess I'll just start with those areas. So I explained to my husband, I guess I was maybe 2 weeks postpartum, and I was just getting back into the groove. My first day with all 5 kids by myself, I was 6 days postpartum. And so I guess I was kind of not thrown into it really quickly, but I did have to adapt to a new routine rather quickly while still pretty sore and still heavily bleeding and still having a lot of milk regulations and stuff. And so I found that I was doing things really slow, and I would say that was probably the biggest thing that I told myself is like, okay, we have a lot to do, but you don't need to rush to do them. Because I think that's the biggest urge that I have is I want to do things efficiently and effectively and quickly. I don't like when things that shouldn't take long. And I feel like that is just my flesh, just like wanting to get to the next thing and just being efficient. And I will just say that in a postpartum season should never be the goal. You can get things done, just do them slowly. Like, move and get through the laundry, but do it slowly. I was like physically moving slowly because I had a lot of hip pain afterwards. I even contemplated getting a wheelchair because I thought I had fractured my hips. I did not, praise the Lord, but I was very sore. And just walking really hurt. But my children needed to eat breakfast, and my children's laundry needed to be done. And so, yes, I was resting and was taking in those baby snuggles, but there were still things that needed to be done. And so I found that in order to get the rest that I needed and to be able to manage things that needed to be catered to and mothered, doing them slow was how I did it. And so that is like one of the biggest things that I would like tell someone if they're trying to grow their family, but also are like, okay, how do I actually do this and rest? And it is just to do things slow. The other thing, and this was something that I would bring up to my husband, so around like week 2 is when I would say I started to be able to pinpoint where there were some areas that needed some attention as to how to expand. And I always think of it like growing pains or like knots in your back. Like sometimes you have a knot in your back and you think it's in one spot, but then you actually go back and then you realize actually this knot is happening because this other area of my shoulder is tight, or this part of my quads or whatever. And so sometimes these like pain points that we have, sometimes the root of them isn't even what we think it is. And so I was praying for wisdom, and I was specifically going to my husband and bringing these pain points to him to see if he had any suggestions. And before doing so, I had a friend who was so wise. She asked me, she goes, why don't you pray for your husband first and pray that the Lord imparts that wisdom on him before you ask him for wisdom in these areas? And I was like, you are a genius, because in that way we are not only honoring our husbands and respecting him, but then also like very practically, men have really great solutions to a lot of problems that us women sometimes I feel like we overthink or like are so emotionally driven. And just like the verse where it talks about women being the weaker vessel, I find such comfort in that verse, particularly during postpartum, because I am so physically weak. I am so emotionally attached to this baby and just want nothing more than to protect, and that mama bear in you comes out. But at the same time, it's like I am a mama bear and I will do anything for this baby, but I am also in so much pain and I cannot walk around and move as quickly and as efficiently as I want to. So I find that verse is really comforting to me during the postpartum, just simply because of that. Like, I am the weaker vessel, but praise the Lord that he has given me a wonderful husband. And so some of the pain points that I found were dishes. I found that I was spending a lot of time doing dishes. Another pain point was the cups. We have so many cups. I'm like, wow, so many cups. I feel like I'm washing a bunch of cups and it's just water. And like, that was just another thing. Another pain point I also found was because we are moving slowly, we weren't able to get things done during the designated time for them. So for example, I block out my day pretty routinely, and I have a block for homeschool, I have a block for work, block for nap time, block for morning chores, block for evening chores, block for like lunch, like kind of like that. And I found that those blocks were not efficient enough for us because it was taking me a lot longer to homeschool now because I had a baby to nurse and rock and care for, and then I also have a toddler. And so I was just bringing this up to my husband's attention. And a couple of things that we came up as solutions was to use paper plates for at least one meal a day. And so usually I've been using it for breakfast. It makes breakfast flow a lot easier. I have more time to unload the dishwasher, and my kids are able to pick up and keep the kitchen flowing, because generally with the 3 meals we have a day, I try to pick up the kitchen fully and fully reset it every single time after each one. So when I go to do lunch, I'm not having to clean up breakfast and then start lunch and then clean up. You know what I'm saying? I try to just keep each breakfast, lunch, and dinner into their own categories so they're not blending into the next one. I want to take a second to tell you guys about today's sponsor, which is BetterHelp. I've talked about them many times here, and I feel like even more so postpartum. For any mothers that are postpartum, this is such a great resource. If you have been looking for a therapist but don't have time, don't want to go somewhere, don't want it to be expensive, BetterHelp is a huge blessing. BetterHelp will help you find a therapist and get you guys connected, and you can do it through their app, you can do it on your laptop, you can do it wherever you desire, but you don't have to leave your home. You can do this while sitting in your jammies before your kids wake up, you can do it during quiet time, you can do it after the kids go to bed, you can do it while you're driving your car, taking your kids to soccer. Like, It is just the coolest thing ever. You have access to your therapist through the app. And so if you don't have time to call, if you don't want to do a video call, you can text them, you can call. Like, there are so many different ways to do this. And I feel like it's really pushing the limit when it comes to therapy. And I'm going to have a 10% off link and code down below if you guys want to try it, but you can request and find a Christian therapist, which I think is really huge. Wisdom comes from the fear of the Lord. So if this is something that you're seeking, make sure that your therapist is a God-fearing woman, to be able to give you proper guidance, and let them know, like, hey, I want you to use the Bible to reproof and correct me. I want you to use and point out my sins. Like, don't affirm my sins. Like, make it very clear from the beginning to see if the person that you're trying to match is the right person for you. So I'll have that link down below. So doing the paper plates has, especially like for breakfast, has been just a little something that has helped. And then the next thing that I saw or just noticed was that cups were becoming a problem, and that we were using 4 cups 3 times a day. That was 12 cups, and it just felt like a bit of a waste, because not always would the cups get drank, and then I would be washing it for no reason, and it just felt like not the best way to steward my time. And that's the biggest thing. Right now, my focus, and maybe I should have prefaced with this, my focus right now is to be able to sit and rest and snuggle my baby and not feel like I have to rush from one thing to the next thing to do another task. So at the moment, I'm trying to lighten some of my responsibilities, or make the responsibilities that I do have more efficient and effective to work for me instead of against me. And so it's not that I'm necessarily trying to take the easier route, I'm just trying to steward my time well, and rest is something I desire to do right now. So in order for me to be able to rest more, or to be able to be more active in like sitting and playing with my children, and making Legos and doing blocks, I need to be able to pick up after breakfast more efficiently. So I should have totally started with that, but I guess, not that it's so obvious, but I do think postpartum rest is the most important thing, or just being able to not worry and stand on your feet too much. So dishes was something I was trying to keep to a minimum. The other thing that I started doing, and I shared this in the video that I posted last week, but I started doing cheese boards again, or just like charcuterie boards, but for lunches. So I get one big cutting board, and I just put all the stuff for all the kids on there. So it's like finger food, they can pick at it, and it's way less cleaning, and just really quick and really easy. Oh, sorry, I never finished the cups. Let me go back to the cups. So too many cups. Now all of my kids have water bottles. They have really nice stainless steel water bottles that I absolutely love. I'll link the ones that we have down below. The straw is even stainless steel, and it is 100% leak proof. We love, 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 love them. So my kids have those, and I said, you know what? I am going to fill those up every single morning with some fresh water and some ice, and that is the cup that the child is to use all day long, and they refill it as they need, but it always stays cool. It doesn't leak, because we were having a problem with leaking during, and like spilling cups on accident, and just like little tiny things that, again, it is a joy to pick up the spills and messes of my children, because I'd much rather clean up a spill than not have a spill to clean up at all if I didn't have my children. But in this season, I am again trying to I'm trying to be proactive and trying to prevent these things. And so that is just a solution that honestly I wish we would have done years ago, because it has been so great, because my kids will take their cups when we go to the park, but they're already refilled, and so it just has made it so nice, and way easier, because at the end of the day I just take them all apart, clean them all out, and I only am like cleaning them once versus doing them like 3 times a day. So that has been a huge blessing. What else? I also have tried, specifically when it comes to homeschooling, I've rearranged the homeschool room a little bit differently, so I'm able to really teach from the rocking chair. And this is another key thing. If you're a mama with a homeschool room, or with a playroom, or wherever your children play or spend a majority of their time, plop a rocking chair in there, because then you are able to sit and rock your baby and not feel like you are missing out on your snuggles or missing out on your other children. And it really is such a delight. And so I've moved my children's desks in a way where I can see what they're doing but also sit and rock the baby, and do a lot of it from a sitting standpoint versus having to be up on my feet. Because usually in the playroom, especially when I'm homeschooling the older three, I'm up on my feet kind of bouncing around, but I have made it in a way, and the kids really enjoyed it. So that was just a small little thing. But let's move on to meals. So I am trying to meal prep at least 2 different proteins on Sundays. So when I was filming this video, it was a Sunday. I was trying a new recipe with this whole chicken, and this turned out really, really, really yummy. It was really, really yummy. The chicken was so tender and had so much flavor. This is definitely something I will be adding to our household menu. And then the other thing that I meal prepped was just 3 pounds of ground beef. I love the Siete taco seasoning. It adds so much flavor. It has really good ingredients, and it's just so easy to be able to have that with some sweet potatoes or that with some taco bowls. And that has been a huge thing I've been having a lot of for lunch, is I will just use ground beef or ground turkey or ground chicken, whatever type of ground up stuff I have, and I will just eat it with some rice and beans. I've been meal prepping rice and beans as well, just to add more starch to it. And then from Aldi has really great salsa and really great pico, and so I'll just buy that already ready and prepped. I'll add an avocado to it, maybe a little cheese if I want, or some lettuce, and just throw it into a bowl, and I have that for lunch. It's something I don't have to think about. It's something I don't really have to like prep other than on Sunday, and it has been such a big blessing and such a great way for me to ensure that I'm getting all the protein that I need, because I try to really eat high protein when I am breastfeeding. I am the kind that is famished all the time when breastfeeding. I just want to eat and drink all day long. Like, I am so hungry, and I have found that the only way to really make that hunger stop is to eat high protein. So I try to have at least 130 to 140 grams of protein, and so having like a really big bowl of ground beef during lunch really helps with that. And then also having like a protein smoothie after like lunch, in between lunch and dinner time. And then the other thing that I also did, because I do have a bit of a sweet tooth and sometimes I just like want to eat something a little bit yummier, a little sweet, my sister makes this chia seed pudding, and it is just chia seeds with canned coconut milk, and then you add some cinnamon. You can add some maple syrup to it, which will sweeten it a little bit. I was going to add my protein powder, but I, for the life of me, could not find my protein powder. I just bought it. I have absolutely no idea where an entire container of protein powder would have disappeared to, but I could not find it. And so I would have added a little bit of that to add some protein, or you can add collagen or whatever you want to add. I feel like you need to add a little something so you can just hide that into the pudding, but it tastes so yummy. It's nice and cold. It's really easy to just grab and keep in the fridge. But I'm telling you, like, meal prepping at least 2 proteins on Sunday really quickly while the kids are napping, while they're doing quiet time, like right after church. I just don't think about it. I just get it done and do it. And it has blessed me so much during the week. Like, I really underestimate how much help that ends up being. I did a video probably like 3-ish months, maybe 4 months ago at this point, showing what I'm feeding my family of 6, and I had done essentially the same thing. So I'll link that down below if that's something that you want to know a little bit more about. But I'm gonna wrap up today's video. I'll have my BetterHelp link down below if you want to save 10% off. I love you, ladies. Let me know what you desire to see from me in this postpartum season. I don't desire to make it all about postpartum, but it is relative to me right now, and it's just what the Lord is working on me and teaching me and refining me consistently. So I'd love to share as it's fresh and as I remember it. So let me know. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video.